Thank you for being here, and we look forward to the rest of your testimony. I want to just begin by making a quick observation. At a time when folks are talking about their economic security, this is perhaps the most important time to make sure we maintain social security, because it is for many Americans, not just seniors, but to many disabled Americans, working Americans who become disabled, and to children, to widows and widowers. It is their economic security. Anytime someone says to you Social Security is broke or bankrupt or causing our deficit, I will say emphatically here, that's contrary to the evidence. In fact, I think I'd be on very safe ground to say anyone who says that Social Security is broke or bankrupt is lying, because the facts show just the opposite. And let's look at the numbers. And I would say to anyone who wants to contest what I'm about to tell you, show me your numbers. I'll show you some numbers, and you can see them on this chart. Social Security currently has about a $2.7 trillion surplus. And that's because over its more than 77 years of taking in taxes from Americans who've been working and paying into Social Security, it has brought in tax contributions over $14.5 trillion. It has also earned on those trillions that have been invested into the trust fund by tax-paying Americans about $1.5 trillion. At the same time, it has only had to spend in benefits and a very tiny sliver that you see above that red bar in administrative costs, because administrative costs are less than 1%, a total spending of $13.5 trillion. And so the math is very simple. More than $2.5 trillion that Americans have contributed to Social Security through their taxes that have never been used. Through 13 recessions, in more than 77 years, Social Security has never failed once to pay benefits on time and in full. And so when we discuss Social Security, we should discuss it in that context of the reality and the truth of what Social Security is. And so when you hear conversations about what should happen to Social Security and to those earned benefits that Americans have paid into the system so they could get them when they retire, or should they become disabled, or should they happen to die, so that their spouse, who's now a widow or widower, or their children, who are now the children of a deceased parent, have a chance to survive, those are the folks that we should concern ourselves most with. Switching to the chained CPI, the so-called adjustment, a change to the way we calculate the cost of living, the COLA increase that seniors, disabled folks, survivors of an American who has perished get, is nothing more than a cut to the benefits that people receive. The paycheck or the earned check that people receive from Social Security will decrease. It is a cut. And it is a substantial cut, because we know the power of compound interest. With time, that cut grows in size. And so if we're talking about economic security at this time when our economy is beginning to recover from those devastations of the 2008 Wall Street crisis, you would think that we would want to provide people with the greatest economic security, and that would be through their Social Security earned benefits. The chain CPI affects not just seniors or disabled or children or widows. It affects veterans who will see their benefits that they have earned cut. It affects any number of folks, including middle income and low income tax-paying families, who will see their taxes rise. And so the chain CPI is coming at the worst time for all those folks who worked very hard and thought they had paid into a system on a bargain, that it would be there for them because they paid into it. Let us remember that a typical American middle-income worker at the age of 65 under the chain CPI would lose about $140 of his or her annual benefit if chain CPI were to become the law. But by age 75, the annual benefit would be cut by $560. And by the time he or she reaches age 85, the age at which most seniors tend to depend most on Social Security, the annual benefit would be cut almost $1,000 a year. So the problem here is that we have to know our facts, and we have to recognize that economic security is perhaps the most important thing for our parents, our grandparents, our children, disabled families, and certainly for American working families. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking forward to hearing the testimony because there is nothing more important than the security of Social Security. With that, I'll yield back.